Morning,
I'm sorry,
Jay.
I'm sorry, I got lost on the way over.
That's okay. How you doing?
Great. Hi, cutie.
You say hi? You say
Good
hi,
morning.
Taylor? Say good morning. Hello.
Ooh, we don't feel so hot today, huh?
She's sleepy. It's morning nap time.
Already?
Yeah, she's an early riser.
Are we the only ones here?
Nope. We have others that are joining.
Okay, let me see what we got. Oh, okay. So I wasn't so late. That makes me feel better. I got bounced out of the other meeting because of a delay in the issue, but I'm back.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So I'm going to give a few minutes for everyone to get into the meeting, and then we will hop right to it since I know we are behind on time.
Have you been here, Dick?
Good morning, Alicia.
Morning, Ruth. How you go?
Good, thank you. Just want to make you aware that I have Mark Carlson. I have Leonard from Main and Shop and Mr. Dixon with us.
Good morning. So happy to see that social distancing going on in that conference room.
We all wearing masks.
Good morning, but I think I have gone to the wrong meeting, so let me slip out. Am I correct with that, Dr. Hart?
If you received another invitation, you definitely want to join that one, Scott. If not, you can stay in the group. Because I know they're sending that separate group. They're sending those invitations separate from the general invitation, so I'm not sure when those go out.
Okay, I tell you what, I'm gonna slip out, and if I get lost again, I'll come back. But I think I need to get over to the cross-functional team to keep them guided, so, okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Hello, everybody. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, I think we have most of everybody. I think we're waiting on maybe 2 or 3 more participants to join. So as they come in, I will catch everyone up, or hopefully they can just jump right into the conversation since we are short on time. So good morning, everyone, again. It is Wednesday, and for a lot of us, today is decision day or formalized guidance day. And so I want to really just start off our conversations this morning, informing the whole group of some of the side conversations that have been occurring at this time, and some of the decision points or guidance that is being considered for certain areas, because I do know that that will have an impact on others as they are formulating their plans. So let me, I want to quickly share the screen to be able to start with the proposed cleaning and PPE guidance. So This was developed with our PPE and our maintenance group, and was shared yesterday just with the chairs. And so I wanted to, of course, share it with the team today, just to let you all know what it is that we are considering. I'm going to go through this document fairly quickly, but I do want to hit on some of the high points so that way the other groups can use this information as you are in your separate breakout groups. So the first thing that's important to note is that our cleaning plan, our proposed cleaning guidance, is rooted in CDC guidelines. So that includes the links that you'll see here. CDC has guidance for cleaning public facilities to include schools. CDC has also provided guidance regarding the appropriate disinfectants that you need to utilize in order to kill coronavirus or COVID-19. And those lists, those particular chemicals have been vetted by the EPA. There is a specific list of those chemicals that our custodial staff, whether they are internal or contracted, would be required to use through the cleaning process. And so essentially, and we'll talk about this very quickly as we get to the chart below, there are 3 levels of cleaning that we like to classify our cleaning in. We have the daily routine cleaning, which was done pre-COVID, which is essentially our general cleaning. So restroom cleaning, pulling trash, vacuuming, dusting, so on and so forth. And then we will have what we call, sorry, still trying to admit individuals as I'm talking, we will have what we call enhanced cleaning. And that's really going to be the focus for the bulk of our cleaning. Enhanced cleaning is when we get into the not just the general cleaning protocol, but also disinfecting and sanitizing our spaces and high touch areas. So we understand that there are going to be very specific areas of focus and of concern when it comes to our cleaning. The first being our restrooms. So how are we going to tackle restroom cleaning? What would be different in restroom cleaning? What we are proposing is to increase, number one, the frequency in which we are cleaning our restrooms. That being proposing every 1.5 to 2 hours, getting into our restroom spaces and cleaning those. And the cleaning protocol would include disinfecting and sanitizing all surfaces, doors, toilets, handles, etc., and ensuring that all supplies are always fully stocked. Checklists will be utilized as part of the cleaning procedure. So that's general guidance. As we work with our internal staff and our contracted custodial staff, again, these are conversations we are having offline with these groups. We will add specificity to the general plan, but wanting to outline what it is that we would be doing. Also, increased cleaning of high-touch surfaces. So what are high-touch surfaces? Similar to what the name conveys, is that surfaces that are touched frequently throughout the day. So our doorknobs, our light switches, glass, elevator buttons where applicable, tables, chairs, light switches, so on and so forth. Now, there is, of course, going to be a financial implication to this, because as we are increasing cleaning plans, we are also going to need additional staff to help us do this. We would look to procure this additional staff through our contracted group based on building. So based on building size, based on the number of students and staff that would be within that building from a capacity standpoint, as how we will determine which schools need that additional support and additional coverage in order to maintain this particular type of schedule. Again, going very quickly over the different levels of cleaning, you have routine, which is what we would do prior to COVID. You have enhanced, which includes routine plus the disinfecting and sanitizing protocols that we just mentioned above, using those EPA approved chemicals. One thing that we are noting within the enhanced cleaning process is that at minimum, this process would need to be done at 3 particular times of the day: prior to the start of school, between classroom transitions, which is going to be a huge point of consideration. One thing we are asking curriculum instruction to consider is either to limit or completely remove classroom transitions throughout the day for multiple reasons, but one of those reasons including the cleaning that would need to take place. If we continue with the level of classroom transitions that we currently have now, the amount of time theoretically could be anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes that we would need in between classroom transitions in order to clean, to disinfect before the next group comes in. And of course, that would then impact instruction. And then we have our deep cleaning, which is what we would get into when we have a presumptive or a confirmed case of COVID in a particular area. CDC guidance is recommending that that area is closed off for a minimum of 24 hours prior to cleaning. So again, thinking about that impact in terms of if we have a classroom or multiple classrooms and or spaces that are impacted by COVID or a case of COVID, those spaces would need to be shut down for a minimum of 24 hours before our staff can get in there to clean. That is specifically part of the guidance in order to protect our custodial and cleaning staff so that that way they are not putting themselves unnecessarily in harm's way. So just wanting everyone to keep that in mind as we are looking at scheduling and other plans. We detail quality assurance process because that is going to be a big point of concern, I'm sure, for everybody that is entering our facilities. So what does that look like? First point is that we will have to do a dedicated group-wide training with all of our custodian groups, internal and external. This training would be focused on making sure everyone understands the difference between cleaning and disinfection, how to properly use those EPA chemicals, making sure they understand what high-touch areas are and where they are located in each of our schools, the expectations regarding the cleaning frequency, and the proper use of PPE while completing these tasks. And the training will be documented. Basically, all of our custodial employees should leave that training understanding how to perform the tasks that we are asking them to do. Also, the cleaning and disinfection standards will be standardized across all teams. So we have 3 different groups that complete cleaning within our schools. We have 2 contracted groups, which are separate companies, and then we have internal ACPS employees. So again, it's important that we are all using the same standards and cleaning to the same standards to make sure that this plan would be successful. Daily inspections would be required. So we would have our internal custodial manager, who's Ruth Clark, making sure that our buildings from internal staff are being cleaned properly. Each of the contracted groups have their own management staff as well. They would be expected to do those daily inspections. And then also inspection reports would be part of the criteria for the QA. Self-cleaning guidance, which is something that I'm seeing a lot come up in just general conversations, is that while the custodial staff would be responsible for maintaining the cleaning within our schools, we also understand that it's an all hands on deck approach to really trying to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19. So what we are proposing to do is to provide staff members with either wipes or spray to be able to clean their personal workspace. We're not asking teachers or staff to go out and clean any other areas, but throughout the day, we want this material to be available if you want to wipe down your keyboards, if you want to wipe down your desk, or any area that is just really your personal workspace. We want to be able to provide that those supplies to the particular staff members. Also with the understanding that you know, it would be something that is heavily encouraged. We are not saying we are going to mandate that, you know, you have to clean your space X times a day. We are encouraging it though, which again is on par with what a number of organizations are doing. Getting into the face coverings and PPE, myself and the PPE group have had a lot of conversation regarding this, and where we have landed in terms of our recommendation is to offer, first and foremost, a certain number of reusable face coverings to all students and all staff. We are thinking that would be between 4 and 5 per staff member and per student. And the reason why we are thinking that is because we want individuals to be able to go an entire week of in-person instruction without having to launder a mask in those days. So the thought is that if you provide enough reusable masks at the start of a hybrid model, that staff and students would have a reusable resource that could be laundered on the weekends and not have to try to do that during the week in order to have a clean mask. Of course, we would still have disposable masks available at our school facilities as well for those that come to school without masks or visitors that are entering the buildings. We're not saying reusable masks and no disposable masks, but what we're saying is that we want to just do a general purchase up front of those reusable masks, have also disposable masks available for those cases where individuals come to the buildings without the proper face coverings. The question that I posed in the email that was sent yesterday, which the groups will have to talk about, is the medical exemption piece. Yesterday, we had our specialized instruction community chat, and this was something that was heavily emphasized by parents of special needs students, particularly those that have severe disabilities or are immunocompromised. What is our stance going to be for those that are medically exempt? Are we going to require for them to present medical documentation that says they are exempt from wearing any type of face covering when they enter our buildings? What does that process look like? Who's going to be responsible for collecting and holding that data and making sure that the appropriate individuals are notified that this particular student cannot wear or is excused from wearing masks because of a medical exemption? So that is something that came up probably, and I'm not exaggerating, in about 25 to 35 questions yesterday during a 1-hour chat was that medical exemption piece. So that's going to be very important. And also just the statement that we are going to require face coverings if you are on a bus, if you are attending or visiting any of our facilities, if you are participating in an ACPS sponsored event, and during our required emergency drills. One thing that we are still, that's still under consideration and would really need to be finalized is if we are going to build in any type of program for mask fatigue. That has been mentioned as well, is that the expectation for somebody to wear a mask, whether it's a student or a staff member, for 8 hours or however long they're going to be in a building, straight through, only removing it to eat, may create mask fatigue. So how are we going to deal with that? Are we going to put any type of statement in regarding mask fatigue to say, you know, we will encourage, I don't know, 1 break a day for people to be able to go outside to remove their mask quickly, get some fresh air, and then come back in? I have some groups that are saying, no, we should just make it mask coverings all day. But I've also had recommendations from others that says we should consider the mask fatigue concept or the, you know, consideration of that. So that's something else that has yet to be built into this guidance. We talked about the purchase of the reusable face masks, and again, including the CDC guidance on how to properly wear your face coverings and the importance of doing so while you are in public and around others. There's some general guidance, again, regarding making sure people aren't touching their faces when they are removing a mask, and that we want to encourage them to wash their hands immediately before and after removal. And we are going to reinforce the use of face coverings through multiple ways, including signage, safety messaging, and staff reinforcement. That's another piece that continues to come up in these community chats, is I think that there are some that want more forceful, enforcement of the mask wearing policy. I'm sorry, I'm trying to also look at the chat while we're talking and it's not letting me do it right now for some reason. And then there are others that don't want us to focus on the punitive side of mask wearing, but rather, you know, really think about it as an intervention and proactive approach to making sure that individuals are aware of the importance of wearing masks. So, you know, where we stand on that is something else that we would have to build into the guidance. And then lastly, the specialized PPE. So what does that include? That's face shields, that's gloves, that's gowns for employee groups that are working in certain capacities. So with the understanding that we are not buying face shields for every person in the division, we will not necessarily provide gloves for everybody in the division. We'll have them on hand, but there are certain groups that we want to make sure have this specialized PPE throughout this process. Gowns, you know, are another item that we want to be able to provide for those certain groups. So that is essentially right now the first iteration and draft of our guidance from a cleaning standpoint and from a PPE standpoint. Dr. Jackson, would you be able to go into the chat and just start, I'm sorry, reading some of the questions that have come up or comments? If you're on the call, I'm sorry, I don't know if she's on the call.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yep. Will face screens substitute for masks for the exceptions? So face coverings, I guess, shields. Mm-hmm. People are asking if, or someone is asking, will those substitute for masks for those students who are not, or staff who are not able to wear masks?
I think that that's honestly going to depend on what the medical reason is for why they cannot wear a face covering. Again, considering the fact that if we have a child, and I don't know, I'm theoretically just saying this, we may have a child that doesn't have the physical makeup to be able to wear either a mask and or a face shield. You know, I don't know. I think it's going to have to depend on that individual's particular case, whether or not
a shield can substitute for a mask, or maybe they are medically exempt from both. That's going to have to be discussed on a case-by-case basis, which is why I think there's been so much emphasis on this, particularly from the specialized instruction side, because even if someone is physically able to wear a face covering or mask, maybe they have a developmental disability, which, you know, prohibits them from keeping the mask on, or just, you know, may exacerbate, you know, something in regards to their condition. So we just have to be, I think, cognizant of that, and cognizant of the fact that really those exemptions are going to have to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis to some extent.
Yes. So someone responded, anytime I've seen a medical exemption, the student has worn nothing, hoping the medical experts can give us guidance on that since I'm not a medical profession. Someone made a suggestion to create a form to fill out for those exemptions that include the specification for a mask and screen so that the doctors can make that determination, which I think is a great idea.
Yes. And I see that there's a lot of support for the idea of documentation. So that's one of the charges that the student health group is really going to have to help provide that piece of guidance so we can fold it into our overall guidance for PPE. Is what does the medical exemption piece look like? How, you know, if we're going to think about it on a case-by-case basis, how is that manageable as well? Because if we have, say, hundreds of people that come back with medical exemptions, who ultimately will be the manager of that process? So I think we're having to look at it not just from a consideration standpoint, but from an execution standpoint as well, in terms of how do we manage that? Because that's going to be an important piece of our PPE plan, especially as, you know, we're getting close to right now, you know, of course, we have a small stockpile, and I just want everyone to understand what I'm saying by small. We have about 6,000 disposable masks right now, and roughly 6,000 pairs of gloves that we have been able to say we're just going to put those to a side right now as we are continuing to build our stockpile, because of course we have summer operations going on. So we're taking essentially some of that summer stock and we're putting it aside. That is by no means enough to probably even outfit a week back in a hybrid model. So with that said, our PPE group is up against a very strict timeline. We are having to make decisions. We are going to have to pull the trigger on ordering some of these things. So having this guidance regarding the medical exemption is going to be key as we are factoring in our estimates for ordering the specialized PPE for those groups. So I'm seeing some other conversations about home-based services, really good conversations. I'm asking that you all, just for the sake of time, have those conversations as well within your group, and then be able to come back as we reconvene to the main group with, you know, suggestions and hopefully some guidance. Moving very quickly, another key point that crosses all areas is the screening guidance. So getting a lot of questions from the community. What is our screening plan going to be? Either, you know, I think it's going to boil down to three choices. Either we're going to do complete on-site screening starting at our bus stops. What does that look like? We're going to do a hybrid approach of maybe self-screening before you get on the bus and physical screening at our school sites, or we're just going to do complete self-screening. And needing to understand what the implications are for each plan if we propose to do it one way or another. And I think I shared this information last meeting, is that understanding we have over 5,000 bus stops, who would actually be at our bus stops performing those temperature checks before they get on the bus if we decide we want to do on-site completely starting at the bus stops, factoring in that time that's going to translate to delays in our runs, because we have to make sure that that process is complete before our students are able to ride the bus. So just understanding what that cascading effect would be, but that's going to tie in directly to our transportation recommendation. So the screening guidance is, we really have to get to some level of, this is our recommendation or our strong recommendation, or maybe there's two plans that we want to put forth for consideration for screening. We just need to know what that looks like. And then the third item I want to cover very quickly before we go into our breakout groups is our transportation updates. So I'm working with Mr. Merriman, Kafaya, Erica Gulick, who's in another team, to really kind of finalize what are we thinking from a transportation standpoint. I've shared before that we have 123 buses in our fleet. We would not utilize all of our buses. We are looking at two scenarios, either 80 buses or 90 buses. And the reason why we are landing on that is because we are factoring in what is the absenteeism rate currently for our bus drivers, and what is that going to look like potentially when we go back to this model. We know we cannot operate more buses than drivers that will be available. And so we are thinking on average a day, we probably will land with about 92 drivers every single day, building in additional capacity for, call outs, absenteeism, personal exemptions from a physical standpoint if they are unable to drive due to, either being in a susceptible age range for COVID and or immunocompromised. So trying to factor in all of those items, which is why we're landing at the 90 and the 80 bus model. Right now it's looking that if we utilize 80 buses, we will probably have to add 2 additional runs to our current runs structure. So going from a 2-run structure to a 4-run structure. If we do the 90 bus model, we could probably accomplish it with 1 additional run, but having to combine an elementary and middle school run together in order to make it 3 versus 4. Now, some of the impacts of doing and adding additional runs is, number 1, we would have to go in and modify the contracts for all of our drivers because the additional runs adds additional time. So what does that look like? Also considering driver fatigue is that now they would be having to do, again, excess runs every single day. And how would that end up wearing on our transportation staff? Something else that we need to consider as well as we are going through these different iterations is that the time it's going to take to do these additional runs. Right now, we're estimating probably an additional 4 hours because we're having to clean between each run as well. So we're having to clean between each run, make sure that our buses are kind of what I'm calling the re-up before they go out and do these additional runs. And factoring in that time is really going to be a major consideration as we are thinking about how can we structure the instructional day with this added time from a run perspective. So we have not formalized the data in the chart yet. We are working on that. The hope is to release that to the teams today so everyone can see kind of the numbers and the particulars with that. But those are some of the transportation challenges at minimum that we are addressing. So it's 10:15, which is a good stopping point. I'm sorry that I'm talking fast, but I wanted to at least be able to provide some of that overarching guidance as we start getting into our breakout room conversations. The goal is to allow at least 50 to 60 minutes in each of our conversations today. So I'm not going to belabor that. If you give me just a few minutes to make sure everyone is in the proper groups, because Zoom is always funny like that, then you guys will be sent to your individual meeting. So just give me 1 second as I do this, please. Okay, so options are set. I'm going to go ahead and open all rooms. And if you do not automatically go to a room, I'm still assigning rooms. So I see you guys back in about an hour. So Manya, I'm not sure why it hasn't assigned you yet. Let me figure this out. Sorry about that. There we go. Manya, can you hear me? Okay, there you go. Student.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this right now, but I want you to kind of be thinking in that line that if we were to, instead of having to worry about, 3 different locations for that students, parents could potentially.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Ruth.
Do you supposed to put me into the some type of break room?
Yeah, you weren't in a breakout room?
No, I'm not.
Okay, it's showing that you're in the PPE room. Are you sure you didn't get an invite?
Well, we got an invite, we clicked on it, but it didn't take us anywhere.
Can you put me in that room by chance?
Okay, do me a favor, log out and log back in,
Okay.
and then I'll have to reassign you.
Okay.
All right. Hello.
Hi there, Dr. Hart. Do I have a consent to start recording the meeting? I think I might need that from you.
Oh, yes,
To
thank
record.
you. Yes, sorry. I thought Zoom automatically
No
has
worries.
that structure in place.
No worries. Okay, I will start recording.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we are now recording.
Yes.
Okay, so just checking in very quickly with the school nutrition group. One of the considerations that I need you all to also discuss today is, what does student nutrition look like in a virtual model? That is going to be important because we're going to have to understand what the implications are if we go 100% virtual to student nutrition services. So I'm sure you guys have already had some level of conversation about that, but I just want to reiterate the importance of making sure that we are also capturing that during your discussions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I'm still here alone.
Oh, we're gonna be alone.
Oh, wait.
She's muted. She's muted.
I can't hear you. Oh,
I'm on mute. I'm sorry. I'm saying
Okay.
you're going to be alone because this is the PPE breakout. So everyone that's in your group is in the conference room, with the exception of.
okay. But
Go
do
ahead.
we have
Nicole, join.
playbook too?
You said what?
Do we have playbook or any
So the link that we shared last week, did you Monday, did you bookmark that, Ruth?
Yeah, Monday's bookmark.
all right, let me find that. It should be.
If not, I'll have to put it in the chat. So look for that and just give me a second to send it to you. I need to join another room really quickly, so I'll be back.
Okay, gotcha.
That are going to drive more than us being able to deliver to the school. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's more significant because if we get them there, where are they going to put them? The educators don't have the space, so, all of this is coming up. If you heard Dr. Hutchins this morning, it is interesting that we have not announced our decision yet. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, for us, the calamity has been the other school systems that said they were going to do a hybrid model, and now we're backpedaling because everything we're doing is showing the difficulties of making, the impacts, of doing that.
Preparedness will be universal. As we said, we are going to prepare staff regardless. We have to, and that means training and and drills. That's not going to change based on either model. Our practice drills, which is important to know, must look the same, right? So if we have a hybrid model, we're not going to have the ability to, do a staggered evacuation for a fire alarm to account for social distancing. It's going to have to look like it does throughout the year. So that's something to think about.
Can I jump in real quick, Dawn? I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt the flow of things.
No.
Just wanted to ask the security group as well, as we are going through our conversations, the enforcement piece regarding PPE, I really want the group to kind of think about that in general and think about the best, I guess, practice or process to how we should approach the enforcement of wearing PPE, because that is going to be a major consideration when we release whatever plan we're going to do, particularly if we're coming back in a hybrid model. So wanting to keep in mind some of the previous conversations that we've had regarding kind of the punitive approaches is what I think we're trying to avoid as much as possible, and more so thinking proactively, what are different things that we can put in place to help with the enforcement, signage, messaging, and then if we have to get into actual, I don't want to say physical enforcement, but actual enforcement by our security staff, what does that look like? What are we going to ask them to do? How would they approach individuals, or would they approach individuals? So just trying to think about that as well as we are developing our plans. I'm going to task, the safety and security group to really just kind of come up with what you all think are best practices regarding the enforcement piece throughout these conversations. So just wanted to jump in there. And if you guys, are having any additional questions, just let me know. I'm also going to, Dawn, you should see now the ability to record. I'm hoping that came across. Okay, great. So I'm gonna jump out the room and you guys just let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thanks.
At 1.5 hours for cleaning of the bathroom. How they gonna do that? That's gonna be the every hour on the hour process.
That's why we didn't put on the whatever she just announced. We just said increase. So we have to talk in-house of how often we can do with the, how many staff we have. I would say usually we do 3.
Hey, Ruth, can you share your camera?
Yes, hold on, please.
Okay, thank you.
Here we go.
Okay, thank you. It helps me be able to since there's multiple people in the room.
So that's.
So were you able to find the playbook?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Just wanted to check back in to see how that's going. And I know that I also want to make sure, because I believe Leonard and Mr. Dixon are in the room as well, that they understand really the importance of hearing your thoughts, your concerns and opinions as we are developing this draft guidance is extremely important, because we want to make sure that we are considering the impacts from a maintenance standpoint and also from a custodial standpoint. We don't want to put anything in place that's going to create an undue burden on either group, but also understanding that to some extent, we are going to have to change our processes in order to be able to maintain and achieve a hybrid model. So just wanting you all to understand why we've asked you to join, the importance of really having those conversations with you. And please, if something is concerning to you, if something is giving you pause, please share that during your conversations today.
Well, Ms. Hart, going into the hybrid process.
Yes, sir.
On cleaning the bathrooms, there's only 3 people in the building during the daytime. You're gonna have to add additional help in there for that process.
Yes, sir. So
y'all want those bathrooms clean like y'all want them clean.
Yes, in the guidance that we have already kind of put together as our draft form, we have put in that we will need to add additional staff really on a school by school basis. We need to assess it by school to see, of course, the number of staff that are currently there, how many additional staff we would need to add in order to help support that plan. And that's going to be through conversations that we are having with our contracted company as well, because what we would have to do is we would have to get that additional support from those companies in order to help our ACPS staff. And we're going to have to do that for a number of reasons, but really the first being the time in the funding. If we try to go through a process of trying to hire ACPS employees to do this, we may not have enough time to advertise, interview, hire, get people trained and get them on board. So that's almost impossible, which is why we would say we would need to get that additional support from the contracted side. And we're already having those conversations with those groups.
Because not only in Hammond, we have the kids and you have the staff bathrooms.
Yes,
which
sir.
is a total of 32 bathrooms.
Yes, sir.
Through the whole building.
Yes, sir.
And 3 people definitely can't cover that.
And we agree. And so for that point, for instance, Hammond, we pretty much already know is going to be one of the schools where we have to add that additional support.
Okay.
So we're going to be working through that and what that looks like. Of course, that comes at a cost, but we want to make sure that number one, whatever we say that we are going to do, we can actually make that possible. And then number two, we don't want to create a sense of fatigue for our custodial employees. It's very important that we are being mindful every step of the way of, personal health as well for the custodians, for our maintenance team, making sure that we are not, overworking people and also not putting you all in predicaments or positions where you could potentially increase your exposure to coronavirus. So we're keeping all of that in mind as we are having these conversations. And that's why I'm so glad that both you and Leonard are part of these discussions.
And also, with that, if we go through the hybrid system,
Yes, sir.
the same thing applies for the cafeteria.
Yes,
You're
sir.
gonna feed the kids in the cafeteria or in the classroom.
We're looking at feeding kids in the classrooms. So,
Oh,
yep, we're looking at doing that. And the reason for that, Mr. Dixon, I know that's going to create a whole other challenge, and
Yes,
we're
yes.
thinking about that as well. The reason why we're doing that is because it's recommended to limit the movement in the building throughout the day to reduce the risk of spreading coronavirus potentially. So the thought is that once kids are in the building, they need to stay in one place throughout the day to minimize their interaction with other people, including staff members. Because ultimately, if we start allowing children to now transition to multiple classrooms, transition to the cafeteria to eat, transition back to the classrooms, that's additional spaces that will have to be cleaned at that enhanced level of cleaning, which just creates a whole other dynamic. So we are trying as best as possible to limit that movement. And part of that includes the eating time, which is why right now the thought is that most schools will have eating in classrooms. They may have a plan to where they go to the cafeteria to pick up the food, but they're not physically going to be eating in that space. They would get it and bring it back to the classroom. So those conversations are ongoing.
Yeah, but that's the same thing. If they go and get the food from the cafeteria, they're still going through hallways and they can contaminate those areas. How come you can't bring the food to them?
We can, but I'm going to give you the instructional side of this as well, Leonard. The instructional kind of concern is that we all know that children, after a certain point, particularly our youngest children, they get restless. And it's going to be difficult to keep children, particularly our young ones, in the same space for multiple hours a day, wearing masks multiple hours a day without them getting that sense of restlessness. So what they are trying to also consider on the instructional side is if they allow the students to physically get up, go to the cafeteria to get their food and come back, that's giving them somewhat of a break from the classroom setting, which they feel would be good for them emotionally. But we're also having to counter that again with dealing with COVID. So what my hope is that by the end of this week, we'll have a better understanding in terms of where we land from a feeding standpoint. If it's going to be all in classroom, if it's going to be allowing students to go out and get the food and bring it back. They may allow outdoor eating as well, which is another consideration that's being discussed, to limit movement in the building, but to still provide them that break. So there are a couple of different scenarios that are being reviewed right now.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
For the hybrid system, if you had the kids in there, are they coming on grade levels or are you gonna have all 3 grade levels of kids at the same time?
So
Sixth
right
grade,
now, that's a
seventh,
great
eighth,
question.
Or 6th grade one day, 7th grade one day, and 8th grade one day.
So it's a great question. Right now, the proposed schedule is what they are calling AA and BB, meaning there will be a certain group of students across all grade levels that will come to the building Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then their Thursday and Friday would be virtual learning. And then you flip that for group B. So group B would be in the buildings Thursdays and Fridays, and they would be virtual Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So the thought is that you're keeping the same students together, but it's going to be across all of the grade bands. So no, it's not going to be like one day for 6th grade and one day for 7th grade. If we do the hybrid model, for instance, at Hammond, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you would have a certain group of 6th through 8th graders in the building. On Thursdays and Fridays, it would be a different group of 6th through 8th graders in the building. So that's what they're looking at right now from a scheduling standpoint.
Okay.
Yes. So
Good.
all good questions. Think you guys keep this conversation going. I'll jump back in about 20 minutes to see how it's going. But thank you so much for those questions, Mr. Dixon and Leonard. I mean, it really helps us with these conversations.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
The educational day. So yes, it's a discussion point of what that would look like. Okay. You know, for us, the question becomes, you know, I'm trying to get this loaded. So we just have to focus on making sure that what we return back to, you know, for consideration is, you know, this is what we can do, but this is what's going to happen as we do it so that everybody understands. And Dr. Hart has joined. Are you recording this, Dr. Hart? We're having difficulty
She
recording.
just messaged me, so I just provided, I think, Kafaya, you should have seen it come across your screen, permission to record. Did you see that? If not, I can try it again.
It says recorded on the top. I'm
Okay,
not
so then
sure.
good. So then it's recording.
Okay.
It should be recording. So I just wanted to pop in really quick and throw yet another thing on the transportation plate for you all to talk about today. So the question that's been posed of me is regarding the face shields and, you know, bus drivers wearing face shields or at least being provided face shields if they want to wear them. Have you all heard from any of the drivers, you know, any of your personal experience? How do you think our staff would feel about that? Not mandating them to have to wear the mask, but at least having them on hand in case they want that additional, you know, protection, PPE. Do you think that that would be good? Do you think that that would impair their driving? Stephanie, I see you've, you know, jumped in, please.
Yes, I think that would be, for most of the drivers would probably want that. And also with the mask, that, you know, the other mask as well.
Yeah, personally, if you don't provide it, I'll bring my own.
No, and that's exactly what we don't. So what we would do is, from a PPE standpoint, we are planning to have enough face shields to outfit all of our drivers. But I just also want to make sure that we are making it clear that we're not mandating our drivers to wear the mask, but rather if they want that additional protection, we would have it on hand.
I don't think you'll have a problem with any of them wanting to wear that.
Okay. So I just wanted to touch base on that question because it came to me and I told them that I would ask, you know, the transportation group, based on your experience, what you think the sentiment would be if we had that guidance. Kafaya?
Yes, I think also we need to give that option to the monitors.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's fair. Absolutely. So, Kafaya, to that end, can you send me the number of monitors? I'm sorry, I'm sure you've already sent this to me, but can you resend it to me as well? Because as I'm having conversations with the PPE group, I want to make sure we're using the right number to estimate what we need.
Sure, I'm going to give you the regular monitors, our full-time and our casuals.
Okay, that'll work. And Charmaine, I'm sorry, I was in another room. I saw your request came up. Okay, so I didn't know if you had a question that you needed me to address.
The recording was just started, but then it stopped. We were just calling you back to say, help us.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to make sure I was addressing everything. So thank you guys so much for that feedback on the face shields, and I'll leave you to it. We have about another 20 or 30 so minutes. So let me leave you to it. Thank you.
Thanks.
No, because no, it's not it. Oh, hold on. Hello.
And just seeing how it's going.
Yes, we're still working on PPE page 1. because
Okay.
we are getting Leonard input on additional information as well.
Okay, that's
Oh,
great.
sorry.
Thank you for that.
Sorry, Dr. Hart, I couldn't get on that Zoom before. I
It's
couldn't get
okay.
on the Zoom before.
It's okay. I know we're all trying to figure this out. Just glad you're here today to help.
All right. Yeah, I tried to get it on my phone. I was like, do it, do it up there.